Hello and welcome to Capacity TV. I'm joined today by Vanessa Milne from WenhamCarter International.
Thank you.
What do you find are the challenges of recruiting in wholesale telecoms right now?
The challenge tends to be finding people with the solid industry experience. There's a lot of people that are looking to move, there's a lot of active candidates, but not necessarily at the level that we're looking for. So where we come into play is trying to find the top 10% of the market who have the relevant experience that our clients are looking for, but obviously trying to tempt them away to move. If you're being treated well, if you're being paid well by your existing company, there's a lot of companies nowadays that put strong retention bonuses in place to try and keep their staff. So it's combating those. So we find one of the difficulties is getting clients to pitch themselves. There's I wouldn't be so strong as to call it an arrogance, but when people have got a head count, obviously they believe strongly in their own company. So we have to work hard with companies getting them to pitch their positions to the senior level candidates. If someone's active, maybe not quite as strong a candidate, not quite as quality, they'll be more eager to move, but the industry is about tempting the senior people over.
You mentioned bonuses. Are you finding in the current economic climate that companies aren't offering such great incentives right now?
It varies from different divisions within the company. So within sales, the bonuses tend to stay a certain percentage of your basic salary. What then changes obviously is the targets that you're set. So in particular, if you look at IP and data, in Europe, for example, there's been a lot of companies who have been struggling, who having to push that much harder. The business is still there, but people are having to work a lot harder to get it these days. So targets are going up, you know, with percentage rises, like as is normal across the economy, but the targets are going up year on year, whereas the revenue is often going down or at least plateauing. So where candidates are struggling or perhaps have complaints is in that their targets are getting higher, their commission's harder to hit, but the money and the revenue is not there.
Which markets do you think are most active at the moment?
We have a fairly consistent level of activity internationally. It's the type of activity in Europe, the US and Asia Pacific. It tends to be a replacement of churn, or if there's a reorganisation and position shift. Where the difference is the type of recruitment in up and coming regions and the developing in LATAM, the development in the Middle East and Africa. Our roles tend to be at a more senior level at the moment, or a lot more brand new headcount, where existing organisations, be it US firms, be it Asia Pacific companies, are opening and growing offices in LATAM and the emerging markets. There we will hire VPs or directors of operations and sales to go in and set up, and then we are hiring the teams underneath them once they're established in region. So in terms of new business, definitely we're following a similar trend really to that of our clients in LATAM and the Middle East. The other side is the product development, which is new business, is the M2M, in mobile payments, and we're still doing a lot in new media, and then obviously cloud. That tends to be new business where we're hiring very senior technical specialists or developers who have done the initial setup for one company, and they will then be able to go to all the competitors and do a similar thing, developing the new products and technologies, go-to-market strategies, etc.
With a focus on new data services out there, do you believe there's adequate training out there, especially for those voice guys that are concerned about losing their jobs?
It's a big generalisation, I know, but no. It's very rare for us to be able to put forward someone who's been selling voice, whether it's a short period or a long period of time, to be able to put them forward for an IP and data role. There's a few companies that have hybrid salespeople who are selling both, in which case it's not a problem, they've got both strings to their bow. If someone has been a voice carrier for 10 years and we try and put them forward for an IP data role, the product set, although the voice runs over the IP and data somewhere, there does tend to be more IP and data products, and people aren't willing to put in the time to train them. The relationships are very different. It's more of a trading sell than a solution sell. Again, I'm making a bit of a generalisation. So companies don't necessarily have the time to invest, and also there's a big enough selection of IP and data candidates at a sales level to work with that it's not necessarily a need.
And finally, why do you think it is that there's a shortage of senior level executives from wholesale at board level?
It is changing and the market's progressing to a more equal balance, but at the moment there's a larger pool of talent in the enterprise market. You can draw on senior management from systems integrators, from other IT vendors, from hardware, equipment, etc., who are all versed in a wide selection of enterprise customers. They're all selling to the same people. Whereas within wholesale, it's a very specific telecom to telecom sell. So the pool of talent to draw from at senior management level is a lot smaller. Therefore, if CEOs and senior executives, when they're searching for a board level member that they want to bring in externally, by looking only into wholesale people, if they're going to be managing enterprise and wholesale, by looking purely at wholesale, they're therefore narrowing their market. By the same end, if you're promoting people internally up through the organisation, if you've got a VP of enterprise and a VP of wholesale, the revenue generation of enterprise is generally a lot higher and therefore perceived to be a more important or a larger revenue stream for the organisation. Therefore, that VP will have managed larger budgets, larger heads, and as I say, perhaps it's perceived that because of that larger management, whether it's of P&L or headcount, it's a natural progression for that person to go up, and the wholesale person, perhaps, although they've got the same amount of experience, might not have the same width of the role. In addition, on the enterprise side, there tends to be a lot more support functions these days. So a lot of companies will share pooled resources for pre-sales, service management, pricing, support. The wholesale divisions will often be purely sales teams and literally quota-bearing heads. And they will go to the enterprise division to draw on pre-sales, to draw on service management. So quite often you find directors and VPs have only managed one sector of people, and they've only managed sales. They haven't managed technical people. They haven't managed the delivery of the services. So again, it's a generalisation, and I think that does tend to be a trend. There is more enterprise at senior management level, and that can also go down to grassroots. There's not enough new people being brought into wholesale. There's not as many companies willing to invest time, which ultimately is money, bringing people in from other industries to train them within wholesale. We do have a lot of the same people going round in the market, candidates moving, and it would be good to see companies willing to bring in people from other industries and train them up.
Well, thank you very much for joining us, and I look forward to catching up with you again at ITW.
Thank you very much.